Employer says we're abolishing weekends. Who represents the worker then?
If the employer abolishes weekends...
No, we're not having a 2-day weekend anymore. You all have to come in 6 days a week. And you, I don't like you, so you're coming in 7. Do we just do individual representation?
They're not doing that. Who would do that?
No, we're talking about principles, Adam, because I hate to break it to you, but until the trade union movement existed, 2-day weekends were unheard of. What about 8-hour working days? What if you decide that you've got to work 11 or 14? And actually, I don't like you. I don't like you. I don't like you. You're working 16. But you've got the right of individual. You've got the right of individual representation. So the fellow working 16 hours, you can't bring anyone else with him, and nobody else should be able to take industrial action to support him. But he can come and see you and say, "Adam, I don't think it's fair that I'm working 16 hours a day and everyone else is working 8, and you should have the right to say tough. Don't let the door hit you on the backside on your way out."
But there will be some people that want to work 16 hours. That would be my only caveat.
That's fine. Well, we won't stop them. Retirement ages?
Well, me, I'm probably going past 70.
Yeah, good for you. But that fella over there, you're going to make him work until he's 90. Otherwise, he won't get a state pension. Because the unions don't just negotiate with employers, do they? They negotiate with governments as well. Maternity leave?
Maternity leave. Yeah.
Health and safety in the workplace. How many employers do you think look around thinking, gosh, how can we spend more money on looking after our workforce as opposed to waiting for trade union-led legislation to be brought in that prevents them from being electrocuted or hurt at work? Paid holidays? How do you feel about paid holidays? How do you feel about paid holidays?
How do I feel about them?
Yeah.
You should have them.
Yeah, there you go. Who's going to get that for the bloke who's only allowed to represent himself?
Well, you would negotiate it yourself. I mean, that's
so one person can have a paid holiday, but the other person can't. You don't think they should all? It should become one, come all. You should have collective bargaining to ensure that a workforce gets paid holidays.
No, I don't. I personally myself, if at the end of the day, everything that I achieve, I negotiate myself, and that's a lot with other people in the workplace.
Equality laws? Because, I mean, how can you have equality laws if we're doing it one person at a time?
Well, because...
Also, you're a man, so you're never going to be sacked because you got pregnant, are you? Or you got married, or I mean, you might get sacked because you got ill. That's just unlucky, right? Because you're not going to be able to represent yourself individually if you're too sick to come to the office. So who's going to do it for you?
Well, that's why you have an employment contract.
You don't have an employment contract unless the trade union has won you one.
No,
because you just said you've only got individual representation. You get sick, you can't represent yourself. Who's going to look after your interests? Who's going to make sure you don't get fired for being poorly?
My employer.
Pardon?
My employer.
But he wants to fire you for being poorly.
Well,
besides, if you don't like it, there's someone else who'll do the job.
Perhaps if I was ill too often and I didn't perform at work, then he would want to get rid of me, yeah. And I would fully understand that.
Of course you would. Of course you would.
I would, yeah.
Right,
if you know what the agreement is.
30 years on the clock for a company, off sick for 3 weeks, you're out.
No, I don't. No,
well, who's going to make sure that's not? Who's going to make sure that doesn't happen?
You have a contract in place.
Who's going to make sure that lots of people don't have contracts, as you know? Largely because the trade unions no longer have the power that they used to have. Do you know where you'd be happy?
Yeah, go on.
1852.